and welcome. I am so happy that you can join us today for week 4 of Sensory Fitness Live. My name is Valerie, and I'm an occupational therapy intern here at HIR Wellness Institute. You may not know what occupational therapy is and how sensory fitness can go hand in hand. Well, OTs are mentors of hope, dignity, and function who help individuals reach their highest potential through methods as dynamic as each individual. OTs are enablers of independence and facilitators of passion to support long-term and meaningful goals of an individual. These episodes of Sensory Fitness Live will help address difficulties with homework, focusing, and sitting while virtual learning. COVID has caused some major disruptions in everyone's lives, including children's and their parents. School is happening very differently now, and virtual learning could be taking a toll on someone's body and mind. We have to think and plan harder to have a flow, and sometimes I'm sure there are more opportunities for meltdowns or feeling out of sorts. Meltdowns, and just remember, meltdowns and tantrums are not misbehavior. They are outward expression of a child's inner distress. We have to look at our children and have what they have lost with this pandemic, steering clear from setting that bar too high. On a more positive note, the pandemic has allowed us more time to get to know our children in a new, different light. We have to try to set them up to be the most functional in their routines. Therefore, Sensory Fitness Live will help manage when you're feeling out of sorts by helping us regulate our brains so we can focus better, so there's alertness and connections to be in that just ready state to respond. So let's recap from last week. We learned about our touch, proprioception, vestibular, and interoception sensory systems. Within each of these, we demonstrated just a few strategies to help you learn and meet your child's unique sensory needs. So let's recap the different sensory options for these senses. We mentioned when a child tells you or says that something hurts and pulls away, acknowledge that what she is feeling is real. We also discussed implementing a sensory diet that is a carefully designed series of physical activities and accommodations tailored to give each child the sensory input he or she needs. We then spoke about performing heavy work together with your child to help integrate that just right amount of activities that encourage your child to use their muscles. We also mentioned that having your child participate in movement experiences, such as jumping rope, jumping on a trampoline, playing swinging games, that allows their head to move in different ways, which helps support the development of his or her vestibular system. So how did this go for you, relatives? Were you able to try any of those options? Leave us a comment down below, and we'd be happy to learn more about your experience. We also learned how to be a detective. We mentioned how you'll have to examine the different behaviors that your child is expressing. In organizing these different behaviors, we thought of them as gears in an engine. The engine is a symbol of our body, where the gears are all of our sensations. This leads us to what we're going to be learning about today, relatives. We'll be learning about social emotional learning, which is supported by our interoception system. Relatives, first let's take a look at the speedometer again for a little refresher. So an engine that's running in a high gear may look like you're overwhelmed or frustrated, have tense posture, your child may be cranky, fidgeting, they may be angry, overly excited, or even fearful. If their engine is running too low, it may look like they're sad or discouraged. They may even have a slouchy posture, be sleepy, or have a lack of interest in activities. A just right posture or gear is when they feel happy and balanced. Our children switch into these different gears throughout the day, and we as parents move through these different gears too. But we do activities without really thinking about it to get us back to that just right gear. Keep in mind that we travel through these different gears all day long, and that's okay. Sometimes we tend to stay in one of these three gears for most of the day, and that's okay too. We want to provide strategies for when the gear you are isn't supportive with the task at hand. Relatives, we will now go over PACE to get us ready to learn the topic for today. So PACE is a simple regulation strategy using movement to wake up our brain and bring it to that just right gear. This helps us to get into a better regulated state. PACE is a quick and easy way to get us back to that just right gear. So relatives, I invite you to grab some water for this activity because water will help increase the electricity in your body. And now from a seated position or standing, you will go down and touch your toes, then come back up. Take note of how that made you feel and how you felt, and we'll revisit that later. Now take one hand and place it on your heart, and take the other hand and place it on your belly. Close your eyes and just breathe normally. And now take your right hand to your left knee and your left hand to your right knee. And we're going to alternate as you go. Now cross your ankles and put your arms out in front of you and put the back of your hands together just like this. Then reach over and clasp your fingers and bring your hands into your body and close your eyes and just breathe normally. Now uncross your arms and your legs and bring your fingertips together. Now, touch your toes again. Come back up. Did you notice anything different, relatives? Let us know down below in our comment box. Did you notice a difference? Did you notice anything, relatives? Because you know that PACE is one of a mindfulness technique that is part of interoception. In just a short time, we have caused the brain to be in a better state in that just right gear. This means more opportunities for learning and directing our attention so we feel more regulated. Now, let's talk about interoception. So interoception has much to do with what we're going to learn today about social emotional learning. These are skills that help learners or children understand their strengths and challenges, recognize emotions, become socially aware, develop empathy for others, build relationships, and have positive decisions, to make positive decisions. You may have heard about social and emotional learning from your child's school, but normally in the classroom, Learners are engaging with other peers, starting conversations, working with partners, developing friendships, learning the social rules, resolving conflicts, problem solving, and learning to make positive choices along the way. This year, for many, it has been different. Um, since COVID happened, children won't have access to all of those natural, social, emotional situations in the classroom due to virtual learning. Now, as we learned last week about interoception, it's one of our internal senses that provides us that information about the internal conditions of our body and how our body is feeling on the inside. Interoception allows us to experience many body sensations, such as a growling stomach, dry mouth, tense muscles, or a racing heart. Awareness of these body sensations enable us to also experience essential emotions, such as hunger, fullness, thirst, pain, body temperatures, the need to use a restroom, relaxation, anxiety, sadness, frustration, and safety. Interoception provides us with a sense of how our body is feeling on the inside. And sometimes we're not able to feel these sensations. We will have sometimes a difficult time feeling our emotions or identifying hunger, pain, the need to use a restroom, sadness, or frustration. Once we have the ability to feel bodily sensations, we can correlate them with certain emotions. So, if our heart is racing, we might conclude that we're experiencing anxiety. Now that we know our bodily sensations and emotions, we can act on them to change them if we need to. So, interoception helps us to understand that we have that ability to change how we feel. Kids who have difficulties with interoception might have problems identifying emotions. One way to help develop interoception would be to talk to your child or your children about your own bodily sensations. So when your stomach is growling, try to describe to your child and show them that if you eat something, that can change that sensation. It can be very overwhelming to a child when they cannot figure out what the internal sensation they are feeling means. So the child can learn their other people's bodily sensations and then apply it to their own sensations. Also, mindfulness practices have been known to be one of the most effective evidence-based interventions for improving interoception, awareness, and increasing social emotional learning. Your child could possibly take 5 minutes in the morning before school and begin a mindful practice to help your child develop a sense of calm. You can do different activities with your child, such as mindful breathing, practice gratitude, using positive affirmations, healthy words, or even pace. Interestingly, mindfulness is shown to activate the insula, the interoceptive center in your brain. We know that our body provides cues about our emotions. So if you want to be clear on your emotions, you first need to be clear on your body signals. Existing social emotional learning curriculum in the schools tend to focus on building emotional understanding in self and others, but completely skips the body piece. And while there's nothing wrong with these programs, any social emotional learning is a step in the right direction. Traditional social emotional learning can be a mismatch for children who need help in building a better foundation. That's where interoception comes in. Now, relatives, I will be talking about the 3 core concepts about social emotional learning and how interoception is at the core of this. The first concept is emotional self-awareness. The first step in becoming aware of yourself is understanding that your body is what makes you, you. Understanding that this is me, this is my body, this is how I'm feeling, is the state of our social emotional learning journey. And becoming aware of our emotions. In fact, emotional self-awareness starts as soon as we're born. Babies are designed to cry when they notice that their body feels uncomfortable. At that point, we don't fully understand what's going on with their bodies. But as they grow and interact with their caregiver, their body signals become identified. And a child learns to connect with their body signals to that emotion at hand. For example, when my stomach growls, what does it mean? That I'm hungry. In some cases, children that have special needs or have experienced trauma may not have developed those interconnections. So when they are expected to thrive in a typical social emotional learning curriculum, they may not be ready to answer these questions like, how are you feeling? Because they never learned the foundational skills that interoception helps build. Now, relatives, the second concept, core concept, is emotional self-regulation. So the second step to self-regulation, or the process of learning to manage your emotions, and is the second aspect common to many social emotional learning curricula. Once you become aware of your emotions, it sets the stage for self-regulation to emerge. As previously mentioned, interoception plays a key role in clearly knowing how we feel, thus providing an indication when something may be off in our body, that it may be time to self-regulate. If a child is not clearly aware of their body emotion connections, they will likely memorize lots of coping skills taught in these social emotional learning programs, but not recognize the need to use them in the moment. Also, when you're truly in tune with your body, you can start to learn things that help your body feel more comfortable, making it easier to self-regulate. To the contrary, when interoception is a challenge, when your inner experience is confusing, it makes it tricky to identify or connect with what makes your body feel good. You need to nurture your body's curiosity and guide your child in noticing and understanding their own personal body signals and emotions. Now, the third concept, relatives, is building healthy relationships. The third step is forming these healthy relationships, right? So these are important to all of us and are the third aspect common in many social emotional learning curriculum. This competency can include understanding of how other people feel, nurturing empathy, and effectively establishing connections with others. According to the latest science, before you're ready to understand how others feel, you need to be able to fully understand how you are, how you're feeling first. This circles back to the importance of interoception, which not only underlines our ability to answer the question, how do I feel? But also answers the question, how do you feel? So to really benefit from this aspect of social emotional learning programs, interoception should be considered first. Otherwise, we are aiming for a skill or skills that might not be developmentally appropriate. To help all children and adults succeed in their social emotional journey, there needs to be a strong foundation for understanding one's own body and emotions. By learning more about interoception and incorporating it into the current social emotional learning curriculum, you're setting some strong groundwork for a lifetime of healthy emotional learning. So all of this important information that we learned today comes from Dr. Kelly Mahler, like we mentioned last week, who is an occupational therapist who specializes in interoception and has a lot of YouTube videos and even a website that talk about interoception and social emotional learning. If you would like to learn more about Dr. Kelly Mahler and her work, we'll drop the link down below of her YouTube page and her website in case you guys want to, if relatives check that out. There's a lot of important, interesting information on her website and a lot of videos that you can definitely learn more about if you'd like. So I really hope that this helps relatives. I'm so looking forward to hearing about your experiences next week. In order to figure out which strategies work best for your child, you will have to be a sensory detective to find that out. Now, it will take some trial and error, but when everything's working, you'll see those strategies, what are most helpful to your child when they respond to that task at hand. Many factors may influence changes in your child's sensory needs from day to day, from activity to activity, and even from minute to minute. Therefore, you have to utilize those sensory tools that are safe and effective for your child for his or her needs. Individual sensory needs are not to be judged as good or bad or right or wrong. They just are. So we have to teach others to understand that an individual's sensory preference are to be honored. Now, relatives, if you have any more questions or would like to set up a personal Zoom appointment, please feel free to give us a call at our main number, which is 414-763-5815. Relatives, we also know that times are tough, but the different gears we are experiencing are normal. But sometimes it can be hard to manage, right? Here at HIR Wellness, we're always here to offer a helping hand. When things seem tough, you can always send us an email, or even for more information, you can even call our care support line. It's warm line for social and emotional support at 414-748-2592. Someone will be in contact with you within 24 hours or less. Relatives, thank you so much for joining me today for week 4 of Sensory Fitness Live. I hope you enjoyed your time with me today, just as much as I've enjoyed being with you all here today as well. Now, tune in and join us every Wednesday at 3 p.m. for Sensory Fitness Live, and please contact us if there is anything that we could do, or if you have any questions. If you need more information, we would be happy to provide that for you. Have a great rest of your day and have a great week. We'll see you then. Bye, relatives.